Welcome to another high value conversation. Tonight I'm going to have my good friend on, Patrick Knouse. He's a director, insurance salesman, just a great guy, but passionate businessman. And tonight we're going to be talking about how to thrive in business using passion and purpose, being resilient, staying motivated, even how our life habits help us become better in business. So I'm going to invite Patrick in right now, and then we're going to go and I'm going to ask him some questions. We're going to have a great high value conversation. All right, waiting for Patrick to come on now. This is going to be great. Like tonight, we're talking about a topic that's like really, dear to my heart. I really love talking about staying motivated. Patrick, hey man.
What's up, man? How are you
What's
doing?
up? Great to see you, man. Great to have
Good to
you
see
on.
you too, brother.
Thank you for being here tonight.
For sure, man. Thanks for the invite. It was I was humbled when I got the message inviting me back in the month of March. You know, we have our March Madness in March, so we play head-to-head competitions in March, and it's one of our biggest months in business. But I said, I'll take some time and spend some time with you this evening. So thanks for the opportunity.
I'm grateful to have you here to share some of your wisdom and drop some of those gems about sales and thriving in business and just overall life, being passionate and being driven, staying motivated, overcoming adversity, being resilient. Like I love, just this topic in general. Love self-improvement, love, just being able to reach higher and higher levels while also being able to take those hits along the way and keep on going, So I want to ask you, right in the beginning, because a lot of these times nowadays, sales just doesn't apply only to business. It applies to even marketing ourselves as a personal brand. So if someone's thinking about starting a business or someone wants to get in business or even right now in their job, how important do you think it is for everyone to learn sales and why?
That's a great question, Mark, as far as why would somebody want to learn sales? Well, sales is in everything that you do, first off. If you want to be successful in anything in life, you mentioned there marketing yourself. You've been marketing yourself all your life in one way or another. I just kind of give it straight and I kind of take sales and I bring it all into life in every way that I teach. I'm able and blessed to be able to be a part of an organization where I'm a regional director and I get to influence and teach sales on a daily basis. And so the biggest thing that I think that people are scared of, they're scared of sales not knowing that they're already been doing it. I mean, from the time that they was a little child, they were selling their parents. I always tell people, what was the first thing what was something everybody here did when they were young? They said, I want. And then if you didn't get what you wanted, guess what you did? You figured out a way to sell them. Some people chose kick and screaming. Some people chose other ways, right? Definitely. But it's a craft, that everybody must learn. And if you really look at the wealthiest people and if you look at billionaires, they're going to tell you, you got to know sales. If you're going to run a business, you got to know sales. The engineers are great. Engineers do a great job of making product and putting a product out. I once heard, and I don't remember where I heard it, but if it was up to an engineer, the product would never come out of the assembly line because there would always be things that need to be fixed.
True.
It's the salesperson that brings the product to the people, right? Puts it in force, and then ultimately what happens is like if you own a car, right? What happens is they come back and they have a recall on it. The engineers, they want to do that recall before it ever hit the sales. So, because the only way that company's going to make money is what? Through the sales. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur and a business owner, Mark, I'll tell you, you got to learn that craft. And, it's a natural thing that we already have. It's one of
I agree with you.
I'd say, Mark, it's probably one of the oldest crafts known to man.
No, it is.
It is. So now it's not bricklaying. It's
No, yeah.
So
even when I would piggyback off that, even when we were just using the barter system, you still had to make what you had profitable enough to the other person for them to trade some of their resources to you, even before we had money, right? You still had to sell the potential of your goods for them to give us some of their goods.
For the exchange, right?
Yeah.
And so that's it. You said it right there. It's an exchange of service.
Yeah.
I always teach my sales rep, never tell them thank you after the sale, because you provided them a service. Your doctor doesn't tell you thank you for coming in. Your lawyer doesn't tell you thank you for coming in. See, you're getting a return on the service in which you provide. And the only way that if you want to gauge what service you render, it's the value in which you render it. And so how much income that you receive off of that is, tell you how valuable you are in sales and how great your craft is. Are you doing a good job, or are you not doing a good job?
For sure.
So you got to be able to bring the value to the marketplace. But ultimately, yeah, man, it's a number one thing I think everybody should really hone themselves in on, is absolutely sales.
Well, let me ask you this then. How does a person handle the fear of rejection when selling? Because that's what keeps a lot of people back, I think, from being able to either put themselves out there or to be successful in generating income through providing a service, is being scared that someone will tell them that they don't want it. Fear of rejection. So what is your advice for people overcoming the fear of rejection in selling?
Well, first off, you got to know what fear is, right? So we all know what that is: false evidence appearing real. I always look at, like, everybody's rode a roller coaster nowadays, right? Yeah. Think about it. We're all fearful when we go and we're like looking at that roller coaster. You had some type of fear in you thinking about that roller coaster. But did you see anybody fall off that roller coaster? Nah, right? They all lived. Matter of fact, when they got off that roller coaster, they were all what? Smiling.
Getting back
they
in line.
They were smiling and couldn't wait to get on. The only fear they had at that point was standing back in that line if they needed the VIP status.
Standing back in
the line. In the 100-degree heat. That was the only fear that they had. So, I look at fear is that. And most of it is false evidence appearing real. And if you look at any sales rep coming off a sale, guess what they look like? They look like the person off the roller coaster.
Yeah,
and if
true.
you don't believe me, just get your first sale.
Yeah, true.
Because when you get your first sale, that's what you're going to feel like. It's an ultimate high because of the value provided. So the first thing I would tell anybody when dealing with rejection is you're not going to die.
Yeah, start there.
That's the first thing I'd tell you. You're going to be all right. Second thing I'd tell them is you've been told no all your life.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Right? You've been told no, Mark, by people that loved you the most.
I like that.
And then you still stayed around. These people are complete strangers. They tell you no. How can it hurt that bad? Your parents, your grandparents, that was the number one word. That's why people are so fearful of no, is because it's no, don't do that. No, don't do that. Mark, don't do that. They attached your name to no your whole life. Yeah. And so everybody's scared to hear no, but we always say that no stands for next opportunity.
Oh, I like that.
Right? So you got to get ready, next opportunity, and no today doesn't mean a no tomorrow, so you got to follow up. So when you're dealing with rejection, it's not necessarily, I tell all my sales reps, listen, they're not telling you no. When you get that rejection, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on a sales call, whatever it is, they're not telling you no. They're telling your presentation no. So it's not personal. So what you need to do at that point is go work on your presentation. So if you are able to provide more value, once again, kind of goes back to that value, and you're able to do it in the right way, okay? Because people are going to buy. Ultimately, they're going to buy for status, okay? They're going to buy for need, all right? They're going to buy for comfort.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? They're going to buy for comfort. And so I look at trying to find the way in which I can provide the value to this client to where ultimately I can fill the void in whatever it is that they're looking to fill. And so they're not really looking at you, and they're not rejecting you as a person. They're usually just rejecting your presentation. Could be your product. You could have not delivered your product properly. But those would be a couple of things that I look at when it comes to rejection. And the third thing is I look at rejection is sales is a numbers game.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So if I'm shooting a basketball like Michael Jordan, I think he's got a quote that says, I've never missed a shot that I didn't take. Yep. Right? Something like that. I've shot some thousands of times of buckets and never missed a shot I didn't take, right? And so sales is no different. And if you can close in sales market, I mean, if you're a beginner and you close at 25%, you're ahead of the game, right? You got some experience and you're at 33%, somewhere right in there, 30% closing. You know, the ones that are really good, they're going to be closing 40 and 50% of the time. That's usually from referrals is why somebody closes, right? But I tell all my reps, it's a law of averages. Sales is nothing but a law of averages. So I don't want you to pay attention to that rejection because like in our business, if I do 20 presentations in a week, then I already know that there's 14 of them probably aren't going to enroll. Right. And so that one that I just got, it's going to be, I'm on to the next one. I already planned it out. Like I already know from this day to this day that if I do 20, there's a good chance if I'm just okay this week, the 14 aren't going to buy this program. So all I'm focusing on is putting pressure on what I call the system.
Yeah.
And so if you put pressure on the system, you put pressure in the right ways, you're going to win. You go to the Hall of Fame in baseball, Mark, if you bat over 300 for 10 years.
So you just be 30% good.
That's it.
And you're still a Hall of Famer.
That's all you got to be.
So let me ask you this. With that being said, how important is resilience? So if you're only hitting 4 out of 10 times, or like you said, you know it's a numbers game, so you know you're not going to get, you know, every single one. How important is it to be resilient?
Yeah, man. You know, I hear this word all the time, resiliency, you know, or adversity, you know, being able to get through adversity. I always tell people, careful what words you use, right? Words are powerful. So you start using adversity, you'll get some real adversity like cancer or death, okay? Because most things are like challenges.
Yeah.
They're just like trials and tribulations. We don't have real adversities, and most of those adversities, we cause them, okay? That people would call it adversity. But when I hear that word resiliency, the first thing I think about is, wasn't you born resilient? You were already resilient. Why do we even have to talk about the word resilient? You already were born that way. Everything that you did, you was resilient. I mean, you and I both, there's one guaranteed common thing, right, that happened in our life. Neither one of us could walk.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So you were resilient, you just didn't know it. And so the first thing that I would tell anybody when you're dealing with trying to be resilient in sales, resilient in life, you know, I just kind of like to keep things simple is you were already there once and you was able to get through it because you're still walking. You didn't stop. Like you didn't fall down and then stop trying to walk. You know what I mean? How long does it take? My mentor, Slav Bittman, always says, he says, how long does it take a baby to walk? Until they walk. Until they walk.
True.
You know, they don't stop. And so just remember to yourself that that's already built into you. The other thing is if you have a vision and a why and a purpose in what you're doing, it's a lot simpler to be resilient. It's easier to go from one rejection to another rejection to another rejection, right? And not really put a lot of thought into it. If you've got a passion and a purpose and a vision on what you're doing and why you're doing it. So
I like how you put that, man. You got to be able to know like what you're trying to accomplish because it helps you stay aligned. You know, earlier you was talking about false evidence appearing real when it came to fear, and taking the no's when you're trying to sell something, right? So there's a phrase I heard early on, and when I was learning sales was a no means yes, just not right now.
There you go.
You know, like you come back, you say, like you said, they're not rejecting you. They might be rejecting your presentation, rejecting your marketing, rejecting your message. You know what I mean? So it says the journey is different for everyone. Everyone's timing isn't exactly. So when somebody just put in the comments that the journey is different for everyone, it is. And if you keep and stay on your journey, like you said, with your why, that's what allows you to continue to persist. You know? For sure.
Yeah. Don't be like Michael Phelps. You remember that where the dude's swimming and he's looking over, right? Michael Phelps, right? And Michael Phelps blows right by him. That's what happens. Whoever
ain't look at it once.
That's what happens. You start focusing on somebody else and thinking, why are they doing that? Why are they winning? You know, and you can't focus on that. You got to focus on your game and stay attacking one step in front of another on yours.
And if you're gonna look at other people, I think you should look at people around you in your circle that help make you better. Because I want to ask you this: how important is it to surround yourself with other motivated people? How important is your circle?
So I call this the catchphrase of YouTube and social media, right? So this is like the headline, you know, that you always see, you know, something about inner circle. You see something about, like, you know, careful who you surround yourself with. Everybody's heard it. You are the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right? And that it's real. I think I see a lot of people, a lot of times. I've been doing this 12 years in sales, and I see a lot of young people a lot of times talking about, man, I need to cut this people out of my life. I need to get rid of these people. I need to separate myself from these people. And it's really not about that. And so that's a distraction. That's all that is. Because, like, I remember, and, you know, what was I always the best person, or, you know, did the right thing all the time, or maybe I had some bad influences as friends too. Yeah. You know, Mark Jackson's not one of those. But to my point, why am I talking to Mark Jackson right now? Well, it's real simple. Because when you're on a mission and you have a vision and what you want to become, what happens is, see, winners only want to be around winners. And there's one person that losers don't want to be around, and that's a winner. And so if you're sitting there and you're like, who do I need to surround myself with? Well, you need to surround yourself with yourself first, right? And start winning. Start winning with yourself. And what happens is, you don't have to make those tough decisions of where people say, I got to cut this person out of my circle. I got to cut. Well, if you're having to cut people out of your circle, let me tell you something. You're not winning. Because they will naturally cut themselves out of your circle. Definitely. Right? You're moving, and they're like, the only thing you hear is the birds, right? And you're just headed in that direction. Now, if you want to slow down and you want to listen to it and let the bird get in your head, one of my top producers the other day, she was talking on our call, and she said, you know, the birds are always going to swirl, but you don't want to let them nest. You know, and I thought that's pretty wise. That's pretty catchy. You know, like Kathleen, shout out to Kathleen Harrison. She's phenomenal, one of our top performers. But yeah, man, just of course it's important. Of course it's important to get the right coaches and the right mentors in life. But you only find those through taking action and working towards what it is that you want to become. Ed Milet, I listen to Ed Milet on podcast. I catch him at least once a week or so. And so he talks about, when I die, when I get to heaven, I want to be the person standing there that I was supposed to become. And so when you're moving like that, you're going to have it. I always think about the uncle or that one that comes back home, you know, that comes back around the family, and they're all saying that he's stuck up, he's changed, forgot where he came from. It's not that. He just thinking different. No,
sure.
You know, and that happens in every family.
No, for sure. So I want to talk to you about podcasts and things like, and books and stuff, because I wanted to talk about how I feel like you can hack the circle. I remember, like, one of these books I read, I want to say it was Think Big by Ben Carson. When I first read that book, in the beginning of that book, it says books allow us to have conversations with people that we'll never meet, you know? Yeah. So if you're not living, or you have friends of people who can help you, you know, level up or have productive conversations, or, you know, bounce ideas off of, when you read, when you listen to those podcasts, when you actually approve your sources. I'm not saying, you know, all this little TikTok advice and stuff, because a lot of these people are just putting this stuff out here for content. They can't really explain in detail and guide you through the steps of what they pointing at when they pointing at the air. You know what I mean? You need to be able to read, you know, like a book like, you know, Think and Grow Rich, right? One of these books back here. This book I've been reading every morning at 4:30, right? When you're sitting back and you're really digesting this information, now you're around people. You're being influenced by greater minds. You're being influenced by other experiences that can help you mold the skill set that you want to have, as well as watching YouTube videos or podcasts. But, you know, I think that you can almost create a circle. And Think and Grow Rich, it even kind of speaks about that. And some people think the idea is a little, crazy, but he talks about having a sixth sense and a circle. You imagine yourself sitting around with people that you admire. Think of 3 or 4 people that you really look up to and imagine yourself sitting with them, and then bounce your idea off of them and see what you think that they would say back, given what you know about them and their biographies and history and what they've accomplished. So do you think that by listening to motivational podcasts or watching YouTube videos or listening or reading books, do you think that it helps you in what you're trying to accomplish when it comes to life and, having purpose and passion?
Yeah, 1,000%, because otherwise you're going to kind of go insane. You're going to think you're crazy, right? Because you're like, well, I don't see these other people thinking like this. Why am I going stir? Why is all this happening, right? And so, having the conversation with people that you're never going to meet,
yep.
Right? And so I think that's what it does. It allows you to have a conversation with yourself too. And so, when I read, when I listen to a podcast, I listen to Audible a lot more than I probably read. And so I'm a really audio and visual learner. And so when I'm listening, it's always self-reflection. And so everything that I'm doing, it's constantly self-reflection. And then a lot of times I'll be listening, it'll be self-reflection. And then it's also because I get to lead, coach, and mentor people. It's a reflection upon where my team is, the people that are in my life that I'm leading, and so it gives me the content, it gives me the information to be able to share with other people. You got to stay sharp, and the only way to stay sharp is in the book, right? If you want somebody to not find anything, put it in a book, right? And so, the crazy thing is, I think I said this last time, I hadn't read a book since 3rd grade before I started doing this, right? And so when I started in sales, my first mentor in sales gave me my first book. It was called The Richest Man in Babylon.
I remember that book.
Right? The second book that he gave me was Think Big and Kick Ass by Donald Trump. And so back then, I didn't like Donald Trump at all. I ain't getting into politics, but I didn't like Donald Trump because I was told the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, right? He was the rich guy, he was the bad guy. And so it expanded my mind and opened up my mind to things. And so real quickly, I learned what books do. And so I can tell you, you mentioned Think and Grow Rich. I've probably listened to that. I've listened to that audio book about 5 times this year.
No,
I started off November, December. I went through it about 3 times in 2 months. And then I've continued that book because it was just part of my passion and purpose this year, and getting better and being better. And I don't think there's a better book in business. That was like 1937, I think, or something like that when that book came out.
Right. It definitely starts you off right.
100%. Man, I like John Maxwell.
Yep.
I got a little daily John Maxwell reader. Yeah, there you go. Come
got
on.
A little John right here.
What you got?
So this is the 21 most powerful minutes in a leader's day.
Oh, I thought you had that one right there.
Oh, I see you, man. I see you.
So I'm on my 2nd time through that one. That's actually a good reader. John Maxwell's easy to read for me. He does a podcast every Wednesday too. He puts out a new message, and always kick that off in the morning. It's one of my favorite podcasts I listen to on Wednesday morning. I mentioned Ed Milet earlier. One I probably shouldn't listen to. My current mentor and coach tells me not to listen to. It's called Real AF with Andy Frisella. He says, you're already intense, Patrick. He said, you don't need no more of that. He always tells me, but I like listening to it because current events and things of that nature. But if you're in sales, Mark, I tell you, like the sales psychology of selling with Brian Tracy is a phenomenal starter book.
I love Brian.
For anybody in sales, really anything with Brian Tracy. I like Tom Hopkins as well. But
I was gonna say what's crazy is, man, like once you start down this rabbit hole, it's like you go on this beautiful journey of learning about all these different people. I remember like just starting with Stephen Covey and then hitting Kiyosaki and then Brian Tracy, Les Brown, just Zig Ziglar, you know what I mean? Tony Robbins. Then you get to Jim Rohn, and you're like listening to the GOATs. Like these people are like Jordan, Isaiah Thomas,
still
Patrick Ewing.
today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, they're like goats, you know. And then nowadays you got your David Goggins, even Joe Rogan. Sometimes like he had like motivational speeches, not just his podcast. So he has like some of the recordings that are motivational about just getting after it and going and just reaching your limitations and pushing through things mentally. You
said David Goggins?
Yeah, it's your guy, huh?
Come on,
that's your guy, huh?
Love Goggins.
Share with me some. Share with us some, please.
Of Goggins?
Yeah, of what you like about him, what what draws you towards him.
First off, I related to Goggins, not only being a veteran and kind of some of that same mental capacity, but upbringing. I had a very similar, maybe not quite as violent upbringing, but very similar upbringing to Goggins. So when he wrote the book, Can't Hurt Me, it was very easy listen for me. Like I was literally like right there with him. I could almost envision what was taking place just in my capacity in life. I always tell people, if you're struggling for vision, you've got some kind of pain in you.
Yeah.
Just use it.
Yeah.
That's all you need, because all you need to do is string some things together in life.
No.
Right? And so you got to be able to just put that one foot in front of the other, so to speak. Goggins talks about that. He talks about winning the seconds. A lot of people try to win the minutes, win the days, whatever. He goes, I'm going to win the seconds. When you're running 100, 200 miles, you got to win the seconds, because your brain is always triggering for you to quit.
Yeah.
That's that resiliency you was talking about. You got to tap into it. You got to tap into it, because it builds up that myelin, so to speak. They call it myelin. And so the more that you can endure, the further you can go. And so you got to be able to endure. And we live in a life nowadays where people don't want to endure.
They don't, man.
And I think that's why I don't think Goggins would be Goggins in 1970 or 1960 or 1940. Like, people have been like, yeah, what's up with that? That's not like, what's this guy yelling? What's this guy talking about? Right? Goggins is only Goggins because we soft. Right? That's why Goggins is a bestseller right now.
He's an outlier now, but he's
a huge outlier now.
Back then he'd fit in.
Mark, people wasn't running 200 miles, dog, like that.
But they was going through Great Depression. You talk about 30s and 40s.
Correct. Still. But so Goggins for me, and then he just came out with this book, Never Finished. And I had it on pre-order when it came out, and so as soon as that thing dropped, baby, I was in it. And I think 4 times now I've been through. My daughter is sick and tired of listening to David Goggins, because she gets in my truck and there'll be David Goggins on, and
it's gonna rub off on her though. She's gonna be happy she used to listen to those audiobooks in the car.
Hey, we got a Goggins talk the other day on the golf course, and so we had that conversation. So she knew I was able to relate to the words that she's already heard, and it triggered her mind, And so I think that's important too, is I know you do that with your boys, get them around the right things.
Yeah. I mean, man, but, to me, even in my business, because I do the same thing in my business, I help people, reach new levels. I talk to people all the time, about their goals, what they want to achieve in business and life, financially. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because it's so important to dig deep to that place that you've never been inside of yourself, where you can go past where you are. I think we get this kind of stagnation and helplessness at some point, and we need that push, we need that encouragement, we need that proof that we can get past where we are right now. And that only comes from the next step. It only comes from taking that next step. Even though you're unsure of what's going to happen, you can be sure that no matter what happens, you're going to keep trying. You know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of the passion I try to share with them comes from, is that you have the capacity to gain capacity. That's the one thing you can always count on. Your ability to continue to learn, your ability to continue to become who you want to become in spite of what's happening. That's where the the resiliency or the endurance or the ability to endure, right? That ability to take pain comes from the fact that, like you said, one, like, you know, you're not going to die. And on top of that, if you really think about it, you have a continual ability to improve physically, mentally, experientially. Like, you can keep going if you believe that fact, right? It's a fact. You know, it's not no hype. It's not wooey. It's not manifestation. You literally are getting better every single time. My kids play a lot of video games. So, you know, for the young kids that's watching, I got a couple of young cats on here right now. In life, you're getting your XP, your experience points,
Okay.
you know, and increasing your level, you know.
I don't know about experience points. You know, the only thing I know about video games, Mark, is Nintendo. We didn't want that thing to click off because you might not get it back on, right?
Well, some of them don't realize that the video games they're playing right now are pulled from real life, right? The way that they're giving them creator players and leveling up, and, you know, they're having this vicarious experience living through like somewhat of an avatar. I try to tell the kids, and I heard a guy say this one time at one of my son's basketball practice. He said, "Who got up more shots today, you or your creative player?" You know what I'm saying? Who shot more shots today, your fake player on the video game or you? Wow. Because y'all both doing it, right? Why don't you come out and get some of these real shots, play some of these real games, you know, get your skills up, you know? And so I just really love this topic overall, man. Deliberate self-improvement is just such a fulfilling thing, man. You know, but it only lies on the other side of doing it. You know, like you said, when that person comes back from that sale, how they're gonna feel when they come back from that sale. It's the same way in self-improvement.
Top of the world. That's how they're gonna feel.
Yeah. You know, like, go ahead.
No, when you're talking about that, I was thinking about when you're talking about video games. You know, life is like a video game. So you have levels, and so you're talking about leveling up.
Yes.
It makes me think about as you get to that next level, right? And you got to restart. You know, I don't know if they do that in video games anymore. It's been so long since I played them, but I know that when you would get to a certain level, like on Mario Brothers, and then you would lose, you have to restart.
Nah, man, you know the problem now?
First levels, you just blow right through them.
The problem now is they just let them keep going. They get to start where they died at. You know what I mean? So they don't have to play like we played with no memory card and you just play through.
That takes away. So if we're talking about being an entrepreneur, business owner, sales, so why can you take all the money away from everybody, right, in this world, and then give it a year, and all the money will end up back in the same hands of the people that have it? And that's because it's like a game, right? It's because they've already been through all those other levels, and the startup, the failure, the rejection, they're going to blow right through those levels, 100%. Right? And until they hit that level that they haven't been to, and then now it's getting through that next level. So I will tell somebody needs to tell EA Sports or whoever it is, like, that hey, they're doing these kids disservice by not doing
I was playing my son in Madden yesterday, and he was beating me. He was beating me by like 2 touchdowns. They had like a minute something left, and I was still trying. And he was like, "You can't win." I was like, "Shoot, you don't know that?" You know. Then he beat me. then he beat me. He was like, "I respect you for not quitting." I was like, "Boy, I'm old school. What you mean? I'm about to sit here like a boss. What you know? But I can't take an L. That's y'all.
Hey,
can't
you
take.
Quit in one thing, you quit in everything. You quit on that video game.
You know?
You quit in everything.
But another thing I wanted to share is that failure, right? Like you're talking about failure or rejection, resiliency. Like, and just now you're talking about blowing through the early levels, right? Mm-hmm. People don't realize that failure is actually a teacher. There's no such thing as success and failure. There's success in learning how to succeed, right? Because the most successful person is not the person that's never failed. It's the person who's failed so many times that it's easy for them to succeed. That's why someone who already has a business can have 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses, because the first one was the longest one. They learned everything, lost their money, it went bankrupt, they had to pay back taxes, all that happened. The next time, they're ready to go. Something else goes wrong that time, cool. But see about business 3 or 4, and this right here was only like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. But this about to go 20, 25.
Billions.
Pass down to the kids.
For sure. You build that up, you know, you build that up. Just like running, you know, the more you do it. Anything. That's anything in life, you know, the more you do it, you don't even realize that you're gaining. I always say inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard, you know. And so you got to gain the inches every day.
Well, even in sales, right? Even in sales, you come, you try one pitch, you try one close, that doesn't work, right? You're in the same sales process. Boom, what's the next sales? What's the next closing tactic? What's the next pain point? What's the next, like, how can I keep going? And you make that sale or you don't make that sale. Okay, cool. Now from that one I didn't know, I realized how to talk to the person, how to understand, how to listen, how to ask questions. So now when I go to this next person, one, I'm not as scared anymore because the first no didn't kill me.
Correct.
So now I'm coming to this one much calmer than the first time.
Been there before.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, like Barry Sanders, he'd been there before. He'd been to the end zone. He just ran over and gave the ball to the referee. You know, like you see it now, and it's like, you know, whatever happened, just doing your job. But when you've been there before, it's nothing. You're like, yeah, it's cool, calm, collect. This is normal. Like where it's chaotic to everybody else, it's not chaotic to you.
Right. You know,
you got the calm through the chaos.
Right. So like you said, that poise, right? That poise, being able to stand in the pocket, fourth quarter, you know, down a touchdown, you got to drive 80 yards, you know.
That's it. Yeah, that's why Tom Brady was the best at it, right? He just, it's like, how did he just do that? He'd already been there, not just on the field and not just in experience. He'd been there so many times in his mind. He had visualized it so many times in his mind, more so than it was literally like he's playing a video game. Is like the other players on his team were just, it didn't matter who they were. They were just little players in the game, and he had the joystick and was moving everybody around. It was, I don't know if we'll ever see anything quite like that in our life again, mine and your life. Maybe these younger folks might see it, but I'd love to. I mean,
they even still have some examples, right? Like look at Patrick Mahomes, right? He lost to Tom that first time, right? It was him versus Tom. It was the young versus the old. But Tom had been, what, 9 times already, possibly? Like 8 or 9 times? It's your first time getting here, bro. You know what I mean? So when it's down to the wire.
With him after the game.
Huh?
I said he had that conversation with him after that.
And I remember talking one time, too, about how they were going to, like this is back when I was in high school, but they were going like their 4th or 5th Super Bowl, right? And he's like, we know everything to do. Like, we getting in town, we know everything to do. We got the routine. We're not even partying no more at this point. Like, we're here for strictly business. We done had all the parties, everything. But you're coming, this might be your one time. You're just getting here this year, you know? So you're living it up. You're buying tickets. Like, they had it down to coordinating the family tickets and where they were going to sit because it was like the 4th year going, right? This is your whole organization's first time figuring this out. So that's what happened the last 2 times when the Chiefs went, right? They had been there before. They have gone and lost against Tom. So this time, we're not doing none of that. We know how to get ready. They won. Went this year. Both teams they played, it was their first time coming. It's like their 3rd time being here now. So they're establishing that same type of, and that experience. But what they have to go through first, they had to lose, man. You know?
That's it. That's it. But
had to lose, man.
Sport, you have life, sports, business, it's all the same, right? And so every sport, like you know, you'll see a team get to the playoffs, then you'll see a team get deeper in the playoffs, and then you'll see a team maybe get to the Super Bowl. Maybe they win it, maybe they don't, right? And so if they haven't built that up, they can't maintain and sustain it. Right. You know, and, that's why you see a lot of the teams that lose, like the Super Bowl, for instance. What happens the next year? They got like an 8-8 record.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever it is now, however many games they play.
And so I want to say, like, that goes also with habits. So anyone who's on right now, thank you for being on and thank you for watching. The same principle goes with habits. It's okay to fail at first. I think sometimes we try to start this big, long habit change in our life. And then once we don't succeed, we're like, I couldn't keep it going. No, it's okay to fail as you keep going. If you are trying to get up early to go to the gym and you get up early, but then you still don't go to the gym, that's not a complete failure. You've changed your time waking up in the morning, right? Try again the next day. It's okay. Now you know what to do. Maybe go to sleep a little earlier, have your gym clothes ready so that now the next day you can go. And let's say you go to the gym 2 days in a row, then you fall off and you haven't been the last 3 days. That's okay. It's a new habit. You're learning how to succeed through failure. Keep going. And I think that's just something I really just want to share, you know?
100%. You nailed it right there. I don't think I got anything to add to that at all.
I mean, it's really like a trick that I used at first. Like you said, inch by inch, right?
Yeah.
It's actually the trick I used to get myself going at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. So what I did at first for like a whole week was I just woke up and went back to sleep. That's it. I just woke up. I woke up at 4, got up, did like 10 push-ups on the floor when I was supposed to go to the gym, and I just went back to sleep, you know? And so then I started going to the gym. I was like, I'm going to go to the gym every day this week.
You ain't going to get nobody more honest than that, by the way. For everybody listening, you ain't going to get anybody more honest than that. You know, that's why I was smiling. I'm like, this guy.
It's real.
I love it.
Bro.
Yeah, love it.
And look, I'm telling you, then I had a goal. It was like, I'm going to go to the gym every day this week. Man, I'm telling you, there was times when I would go 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and I was running out of time in a day to go to the gym like on the 4th day. Man, I would just drive, pull up to the front of the door, park illegally, walk in, walk out. And I got back in the car and I was like, I went to the gym today. Like that was my goal, right? I still was keeping my goal of going to the gym and establishing that habit. And like now, you know, I'm able to get up at 4:30 in the morning, read and stuff, but it's not built in a day, man. You know?
So I have for you on that. I think that provoked, and just to add to that, you know, I do have some that don't beat yourself. You can beat yourself up, but you can't beat yourself down. Right? Too many people beat themselves down when the whole world is already. That's why my saying is suffocate the day, or the day will suffocate you. Yeah. So it's all right to beat yourself up a little bit and say, man, I got to be better today. Just you can't beat yourself down. But I guess my question would be, so when you're talking about that, Mark, and you're talking about showing up to the gym or doing 10 push-ups and going to sleep. So here's what I would ask you. So now I know what you're doing now, and I know how disciplined you are now. I know how hard you're going after it now. So I'm going to flip the script and ask you this question. So what changed from when you did that? If you was to reflect, was it like, do you have more of a purpose now? Do you have more of a mission now, like a vision on who you want to become, why you want to become it? And when that alarm clock goes off, does that change your decision making at that time and your commitment?
100%, man. Once my vision now is to be in alignment with the message that I give everyone else. I'm really, really passionate about deliberate self-improvement, but I wanted to put it into all areas of my life. I was doing really good in business, really good in fatherhood, but maybe a little bit during COVID, maybe a little bit during my 3rd son, I had let myself become a little overwhelmed physically. And I wasn't in the gym the way I had always been majority of my life. You know, I was physical training leader when I was in the military, you know, things that like I love being in shape, being strong, being fit, but I kind of fell off. And I had, you know, 3 sons. I want to be a great example for them. So my vision and my passion now is not only to be in alignment with my mission and what I preach to others, you know, to not be a hypocrite, but also to be fit for my children, to be able to see a good example. And also, you know, health is your wealth, right? And so those things easily get me out of bed, but now I have momentum too. Right now I'm riding the wave of my purpose. At first when I was like, trying to paddle the boat, get the paddle of purpose.
100%. Love it. You know, I think that's a big difference, man. When you name several things there: passion, your purpose, why you're doing it. You know, I know your kids are your why. So being an example, all that's tied in to why it's not easy, but it's a lot simpler to make those decisions.
No,
you know,
sure,
love that.
Man. For sure. And I think it ties in overall just to be in business, right? Like it takes a lot of energy to do all this stuff. I mean, it's 7 p.m. right now, man. Like people are relaxing, you know what I mean? And I've been up since 4:30 this morning and still going. Yeah. It takes a lot of energy. So getting up in the morning, getting that cardio, being like physically fit allows me to continue to attack my goals in all areas of my life. You know, being able to have conversations, being able to do deals, being able to get off this call right now, upload this video, download it, type on it, put it on YouTube. Like, that's still work I got to do even after this. And being in a mission of deliberate self-improvement, like, it's really a hack, man. It really is a hack. Like, we're not taught to use that as a problem-solving skill. And that's what I try to rely on a lot as a problem-solving skill, is becoming better than my situation through practice, repetition, learning, whatever I have to do, because that's the one thing I know I can rely on, right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I think that having the right habits that align with the vision and goals and where you want to go. And so you mentioned in life, there's ebbs and flows. And, you know, when I got into business and sales, it's a mental game.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've always physically fit, that type of thing. Like, you know, physical stuff never bothered me.
Right.
You know, I always felt like if I was on a run and my mind gave out, or carrying 130 pounds on my back in the Army, whatever it was, if my body gave out, my mind would pick it up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But here was the thing, like in business, you had your mind. And so like when the things I do now to prepare for my day, I would have never dreamt of ever doing anything that I do. Like if the people that I love the most, like my father and if they see me meditating in the morning for 20 minutes, they'd be like, "What are you doing?" If they see me doing chakra for 20 minutes in the morning, they'd be like, "What are you doing?" You know? I do breathing techniques in the morning. I'm up to about 30 minutes now where I do this breathing session called Wim Hof.
Wow.
Right. And just to get my day started, because I'm so wound up. And
man, share that with me. Share that with me. What's the Wim Hof? Share that. Some people can use that.
It's actually a dude's name is Wim Hof. You go look him up on YouTube. But I started a couple of years ago. One of my friends, he actually did it and kind of shared with me. You know, I started off like all friends. Guess what I did in the beginning? I made fun of them.
Yeah.
You know, all friends do.
That happens,
like,
man.
Bro,
that happens.
What you doing holding your breath in the shower?
That happens,
like,
man.
You're going to pass out in the shower. We're going to have to take you to the hospital, dude. You know? And so what I found is, man, I don't go a day without doing it now. And I don't care what day it is, because it absolutely, and what you do is it's just a breathing technique where you're breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. You do about 30 breaths in a row, and then you do what they call a breath hold. And so like I do different breath holds. Most of mine go up to 2 minutes. I do once a week. I go up to a 3-minute breath hold and try to make it 3 minutes. It's five breath holds. And I always say a lot of times for me, it's an out of the world experience.
Wow.
And so it gives me a lot of peace in life with pressure, you know, father, husband, just everything in life. That's my time to kind of, you know, do what I do and kind of relax my day. I always tell my guys, you better think Wim Hof today, because, you know, when I'm in one of them moments, I'm like, you better thank God that I did Wim Hof meditation today, because this would be a lot tougher, you know.
That's an awesome habit, man.
But my mentor also does it. He's very consistent at it. And so when you surround yourself, you said inner circle, right? So just like we talk about what we do, like we discuss and talk about what we do. So you got people that are on the same mission and got the same likes that you have. It makes it a lot easier to do them on a day-to-day basis. But
I think that
you got to have the
habits. I was just going to say, I think these kind of habits are the cool ones that you pick up along the way, that you said that at first people think are weird. Like, you tell somebody you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, they're like, what are you doing? Or, you know, I wake up in the morning, I read, then I exercise, and I come back and I meditate and I journal and I visualize. But we've seen the benefits. We've tried it. And the beautiful part about it, and for everyone who's listening and watching, at first you could just do it in private. No one's judging you. You know, you wake up early in the morning and you read, you meditate, you write down your goals, you journal. Like, you get 2-3 hours sometimes uninterrupted, and you will be so shocked and how much you're not tired. You're not really missing your sleep. Like, I got to get my sleep. I got my sleep. It's not like that. When you get up an hour earlier than you need to, instead of just getting up, rolling out of bed, heading straight to work, when you get up an hour or two ahead of that and take time to be calm, shower, coffee, do a little exercise, read, think about what you want to be, you'll be so surprised at how the rest of your day is going to go. You know what I mean? You'll think you found it.
And you're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, you're going to think you found a secret.
You're going to have some confidence. It gives you confidence. And, everybody, this world talks about ego so badly. You hear this, they use that 3-letter word so bad. I know it means edging God out or whatever, but everything in this world was built off of ego. That train that goes down the tracks, let me tell you, it was ego. There was some dudes trying to beat each other to get them train tracks down, And
I think it's important when it's like self-described. That's why I talk about self-construction. Like if you have an ego that's, this is who I want to be, and you're working off of self-identity and who you want to become versus who you think you should be. That's the destructive one. Right. The one that's like, I got to have a Bentley, I got to have a jet, I got to have 1 million followers. That's the one that's destructive because it's programmed by the outside. Yeah. But when you coming from the inside, man, like you said, it's driving that train.
Input determines your output, right? What's on the inside comes on the outside. It keeps your spirit. You got to be in spirit. 100%. And, one of my coaches in business, he's a podcast. You should check him out. Real name drop. Grindcast, Simon Aries. But he says, 49% ego, 51% humility.
Ooh, I like
right?
that.
49% ego, 51% humility. And that's really, it gives you that ability when you're getting up in the morning, starting your day. Why does the military have you make the bed in the morning? Right? It's a sense of accomplishment, and progress equals happiness. And so what you're talking about is making progress. And when you already know you're making progress in your day comes sooner. So you got to do something in the morning that sucks. And so if you do the hard stuff in the morning, the rest of the day is easy.
And it takes me back to Brian Tracy, right? Eat That Frog. The book, Eat the Frog.
Right?
It's like if you eat that frog, there's a metaphor, but it's like if you do the hardest thing first in the day, everything progressively becomes
100%
easier,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, when I roll out of bed at 4 o'clock and go to the gym at 4:30 and I'm putting up 315 pounds on a bench press, I'm like,
easy, Ty guy.
I'm like,
way.
The rest of the day, you know what I mean? The rest of the day, I'm going to be lifting all these problems, I'm going to be lifting all these circumstances,
40 years old, $190, putting up 315. Come on.
You know what I mean? Hey, but that's the building of the habit, man. That's the building of the habit, step by step, inch by inch, man. I got some teenage sons, so I got to let them know they can't be getting froggy.
I'd have to have you spot me putting up 315, Mark. I've lifted the press in years,
man, this is all about deliberate self-improvement, man. I just say that to say, like, it just makes me, I know where I was. I know I kept following my goal. And the same goes for, even writing my book, right? I'm telling you, I didn't major in English. I majored in business. I wasn't the most grammatically sound person. I wrote like I spoke a lot of the times, I never really was Mr. Email and stuff like that, but I knew I wanted to share what I had learned in a way that was going to be indestructible. And I'm looking at books, even, Library of Congress, right? From thousands of years ago, right? Books that you can have right now from people written hundreds of years ago. So yeah, I could have did a video or a podcast or something like that to put the message out there, but I wanted something that could be passed down from generation. So I just started writing, the best way I could. Then I had somebody edit it. I didn't worry about, all I worried about was getting the information accurate and holding my audience's attention. That story that's in that book flowed out of me simply from the desire to hold my audience's attention so that I could get them that information, and how could I keep them engaged long enough to help them. And the book wrote itself after that, So I'm saying that to say any of these habits that you look at and you're like, I'm not that kind of person, that doesn't interest me, or I don't know if I can do that. But you don't know till you try, and you don't know who you become during the process. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says, the process is more important than the product. It's the becoming,
Yeah. everybody else is already labeling you. You got to be careful, right, of what kind of labels you put on yourself. I'm not this, I'm not that, I can't do this, I can't do that, right? We're all no different in this world. You know, that makes me think about everything in life. You know, Gary Player, I love golf, but he says the harder I work, the luckier I get. You know, the harder I work,
say that again.
and so that's probably one of my favorite like things that when I'm sitting there and I feel like, man, I'm getting my butt kicked in life, right? I'm like, well, the harder I work, the luckier I get. I must not be working hard enough.
Nah, I hear you, man.
You know, so I work a little bit harder because I need a little bit more luck.
I like how you put that. I like how you put that. That's, I mean, people don't realize that he's saying it like that, and it sounds so cool, but God, that's how it works.
Absolutely.
Right? Man, that's how it works.
Working on the right things. You know,
yeah.
as you're talking about some of these things, you're developing and working on the right things. So you are already working on the right things, and nobody might have noticed. You know, not everything has a big recognition, right? So we want this award, we want this immediate gratification, we want all that, but then boom, when it's time to put pen to the paper and write your book, you know, reading your Stay Broke, well, guess what? Boom, and all the story came out. The work had already happened. You already put in that hard work. And so, you know, that's why it's such a great book.
Man, thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I was about to hit my little segue, but I appreciate you, dog.
Yes, sir.
You know, what I was gonna say was the other thing that I feel like happens during self-improvement is you become the person that can have conversations you couldn't have before either. Right? So when you're reading, listening to audiobooks, you start learning things that the people that you wish could help you, like, so say you're right now, you're like, I want to start a business. I wish somebody would, you know, show me how to get the money or show me how to do this. I wish somebody would, like, you wondering who's going to just run up to you and kind of just lay it out for you and help you, because that's how we were taught to be taught, right? We taught that the teacher sits in the front of the classroom, we sit back, we pay attention as they teach us. If we have a question, then they test us to let us know we're good enough to do something. That's how we were programmed, right? But that's not how it works. You have to want to do something that you don't know how to do, start to try to do it, realize you're smarter than you thought you were because you're picking up the information better than you imagined you would. Now, when you hear somebody talking about something or you see an opportunity that you couldn't recognize before you read this book, now you can make a move. Now you can talk to that person. Now when they ask you a question, you know the proper response, or you know the right question to ask because you've identified a piece of information that you don't know, but now you know the kind of person that knows the information that you need to ask about. So that it helps you move in even in that direction.
For sure. It makes me think, was you're talking about that, back in my younger days, getting into business and going into rooms that I shouldn't have been in. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God, man.
I shouldn't have been in. Like, I'm like, boy, I don't need these people to find out. You know, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to listen to what they have to, like, they're talking. I'm going to listen. I'm going to pay attention to their body language. I'm going to use my discernment. I'm going to use my discernment to take the good and the bad, you know, relying on my discernment. But one thing I'm not going to do is open up my mouth and let everybody know how stupid or how much of a fool I am right now. But I'm in this room, so here I am in this room. Now, my job is the next time I come back into this room, have a voice.
Yep.
Right? And I think a lot of times people are trying to get into that room, and they get into that room before they should be in that room. They don't realize that a lot of times they got into that room because of maybe somebody else, the credibility of somebody else. And so they trying to get into that room, and then they trying to have a voice in that room when they ain't done the work to have the voice.
They're doing too much.
Right? And so you got it. That's kind of, I guess that'd be the old school mentality, you know. Everybody wants to bark all the time now and not have a lot of bite. But, you know, I'll tell you, when you were talking about that, that's what I thought about was, man, all the rooms that I was in when I was like, thank goodness I know this person that got me into this room. And then when I come back into this room, it's going to be, they know why I'm in the room.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for like trying to find your why? I know we talked about why earlier, like having your why, having your vision and stuff. But I think for us, because we're already there, it's like easier said than done, right? What would be your advice for someone to try and find their why, like to pull out their passion, be able to get a vision?
Yeah, I think that the first place that you got to do is you got to write it down. Like you got to have that conversation with yourself, right? And you got to just spend some time and think about, what is it that I want in life? Like, what is my purpose? You know, people always say, I got to find my purpose, right? I'm looking for my purpose. Well, you got to have a purpose before you can have passion, in my belief, my humble belief. Like, I can't be passionate about something that I don't have a purpose for. And so I can tell you the first place I started personally is, I mean, I began my journey off of just sheer luck. Like I was looking for a part-time job and I got into sales. I thought, man, I could do sales in the evening, right? But real quickly, it didn't take long before I was like, nah, this is my purpose. I get to, you know, coming from the military, I was in a small unit as a scout, recon sniper, only about 21 of us. And so then I seen this team and I'm like, I can operate in this team, right? So now I got a purpose again. And so I've got this vehicle, you know, this vehicle called American Income Life. And what I'm able to do is get on this vehicle and I'm able to drive in this vehicle. And where can I go? Well, that's where my vision came in. So what really, when I had that purpose of, okay, I can be a part of a team. I can help people on a daily basis. That's who I am. Been doing that all my life, right? I get to be competitive. I can get to be in a competitive environment. That's my purpose. I love to compete, right? I think only through competition do you find out how good you really are, right? I didn't say that. I believe this actor said that, Bruce Lee. So, you know, martial artist, I should say first. But so I had this vehicle, and so now I'm like, all right, well, I went out and I made my first paycheck in sales. And my first paycheck was like $1,400, and I'd never done it before, and in a week. And I'm like, man, if I can make $1,400, and I don't even know what the heck I'm doing, where can I do when I actually know what I'm doing, right? And so now all of a sudden my vision started to go, right? But what happened is like I took an action of I'm looking for some extra income. So I got that vehicle. I used my discernment to see what it really was and how big it really was. Yeah. And then now I'm like, all right, so I knew I wanted to have money. Like that was a guarantee. Like I wanted to have money. That was my, from the time I was young, I'm like, I already realized that I got more options in life with money. Those people over there that are driving those new cars that are showing up at the school, their mom and dad got more money than my parents. So there's one distinct factor. I beat them on the ball field. I can out-compete them. I can out-mindset them all day long. But they drive in the car and they wearing the Air Jordans because why? They got more money. So they got more options. And so that was my vision. I didn't have to look much further than that. And then I got the vehicle. I had the purpose. And through that, I gained the passion. You get passion through belief. Like, I believe that you have to do the practice, right? You got to do the work to get the belief. I think a lot of times people are trying to get the belief first. Yeah. Just do it. My mentor,
you said a word right there. They're trying to get the belief first.
I don't expect you to believe me, he says. Just do the work and you'll believe me. Yeah. You know, and that's what I found out in life. So the first thing I tell you is find a purpose. What is your purpose in this world? For me, Mark, mine was helping people, being a part of something bigger than me, right? And being able to use my influence and my leadership on a day-to-day basis. And then
I love it.
Through that, I found the vehicle, right? So I got the vehicle, I got the vision, and then boom. You know, I've been able to enjoy the ride now I'm in my 12th year with the company. And I've been able to enjoy this entrepreneur, this sales ride and leadership. And but you got to keep growing, because if you don't, you're going to go right back to where you started. I think Tim Grover, he's got a book called Winning.
Yeah.
right? Winning doesn't stop. It just goes to somebody else.
Ooh.
So,
I never heard that before.
I mean,
Like that.
it doesn't stop. It just goes to somebody else. And so it's constantly moving. Everything's constantly moving. So if you're standing still, that means you're going backwards because it's moving forward.
I really love what you said about, wanting the belief first, but I also love that your purpose started simple, right? It was, I just want to make some more money, right? Like that, your purpose in the beginning doesn't have to be, I want to make a Tesla. I want to own Amazon. That's not how your purpose starts. A big fire starts with a spark. It's okay. Just have your spark, right? Just say, I don't think this is the job I want to do for the rest of my life. I think I want to get in shape. I think I want to read more. Just start with the spark, and the spark will become a little flame, and a little flame will become a fire, and the fire will become a blaze, and your purpose will start to reveal itself. Because I'm going to tell you a secret. Sometimes your purpose is underneath a few layers of self-improvement. Right? The person,
find out who you are.
What is that?
You'll find out who you are.
Right?
That's it.
You'll find out who you are. Right? I wasn't an author when I was an airman in the Air Force. The vision, the idea, the experience hadn't hit me yet to become the Mark I am today. Right? But I'm still the Mark I am today. And I got here over time. So the same thing with you. I think sometimes people get stuck because they don't feel like they have a purpose worthy of explaining to everybody else and seeing everybody like, ooh, wow, now that's a good purpose. No, your purpose is yours. It could be as simple as a little bit of frustration, honestly, right? It could come from a negative circumstance, right? That's ways that your purpose can appear to you. It can also come from, and my great friend, Dr. Michelle, we were talking about, psychology a couple of days ago, and she was talking about being a lover and a fighter. So you could be going through a situation right now where you're constantly enduring something that you shouldn't be taking, and you haven't realized yet, I need to stand up and say, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yep.
Right? That could be the start of your purpose also. So don't feel hindered by the fact that you can't come up with a grand purpose and a grand vision. Like those things are the chapters in the story that becomes the book of your life. Like no movie starts off great. It got great. It got greater. Like you're not watching that. You like the hero just kind of starting out, kind of unskilled, goes up against a big challenge, falls down, and then how did they get back up enough to face that challenge again? Because that's the human experience, and that's what you have to be willing to go through.
Absolutely. You nailed that right there. There's zero to add to that, Mark.
Well, I thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in, and man, it's always great energy because great iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? And so I just really appreciate you.
Listen, you said it a second ago. I wasn't that person. Well, I can tell you, Mark, just from knowing you, that you're not the same person today that you were 6 months ago, nor 6 months before that. And I already know you're not the same person that I met a couple of years ago. So, if there's anybody that's a living proof, is your audience gets to listen to you and interview you. I'll tell you, I've watched that growth, and I'm just happy that I get to be a part of that journey. And I'm better because you're in my life. And so I appreciate our friendship, and I look forward to, some more things in the future together.
Likewise, man. Thank you. And let's do this again, right? Because these are always great. Like we always get good feedback. I got to commend you. It was your idea to come to the nighttime for this one. We got double-digit views right now, so we're really helping a lot of people. So I'm really grateful that we collaborate, and we, like I said, iron sharpens iron. Like being able to listen to each other, share ideas, and try to serve a greater purpose outside of ourselves. So thank you for helping me be better on my journey to help other people be better.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Mark.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. See ya.